Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. And today I have another book review for you, and we are continuing with my Discworld journey with A Hat Full of Sky by Terry Pratchett. If you're new here, don't forget to do that research to subscribe to this channel. Your continuous support means lots, so thank you guys so much. I would also love to draw your attention to my t-shirt, which is my band Wooden Elephants, which myself and Matt are in together. If you would like one of these t-shirts, I'll pop a link below to the music and also to buy these t-shirts. Without further ado, let me read you guys the blurb of A Hat Full of Sky. Crivens. A real witch never casually steps out of her body, leaving it empty. 11-year-old Tiffany does. And there's something just waiting for a handy body to take over. Something ancient and horrible, which can't die. Wise, witty and wonderful, A Hat Full of Sky is Terry Pratchett's second novel about Tiffany and the Wheat Free Men. The rowdiest, toughest, smelliest bunch of fairies ever. They'll fight anything, and even they might not be enough to save Tiffany. There are 2 reviews on the back. It says, oodles of dry wit, imagination and shrewdly observed characters. That's from Independent on Sunday. Pratchett's ear for dialogue is superb, deeply satisfying as well as clever, and that's from The Times. So this is the second Tiffany Aiken book, and you do grow up with Tiffany. In the first book, I believe Tiffany is 9. In this, she is 11. And we return to this fantastical world with the Wee Free Men, who I absolutely adore. As always with my reviews, I have some quotes to share with you guys, so let's jump straight into those. Page 11. The world of the Feagle is a bit like a beehive, but with a lot less honey and a lot more sting. This is a great comparison. It actually reminded me of a book I read recently, which is The Bees by Lillian Hall. That is one that we included in our wedding book swap. Do recommend it. It's not the best written book in the world, but it is a very unique story. Page 15. The new boots were all wrong. They were stiff and shiny. Shiny boots. That's disgraceful. Clean boots, that was different. There was nothing wrong with putting a bit of polish on boots to keep the wet out. But boots had to work for a living. They shouldn't shine. I'm getting the essence of Vimes here. Sam Vimes from the Guard series always wears boots that you can feel the pavement under. I just love this so much. Page 80. This one is quite a long one, so do bear with me. She found her way into the kitchen. It was cold and quiet, except for the ticking of the clock on the wall. Both the hands had fallen off the clock face and lay at the bottom of the glass cover, so while the clock was still measuring time, it wasn't inclined to tell anyone about it. As kitchens went, it was very tidy. In the cupboard drawer beside the sink, forks, spoons and knives were all in neat sections, which was a bit worrying. Every kitchen drawer Tiffany had ever seen might have been meant to be neat, but over the years had been crammed with things that didn't quite fit, like big ladles and bent bottle openers, which meant that they always stuck unless you knew the trick of opening them. I just loved both these descriptions of the clock and the kitchen. It is so real, and I just love that about Pratchett. Everything Pratchett talks about, although we're in this fantastical, fictional, magical world, is so real and realistic and just true. Page 90. So, if you knew how to listen to the bees, you'd know everything that was going on, yes? Tiffany persisted. You know, it's funny you should say that, said Miss Level. There have been a few rumours. But you'd have to learn to think like a swarm of bees. One mind with thousands of little bodies. Much too hard to do. This is a lovely nugget referring back to Lords and Ladies in Granny Weatherwax. I do have a review of that. That link is above me now. And oh my god. I'm pretty sure it was that one that almost made me cry. Well, there's multiple that made me cry. Carpe Jugulum, that made me weep. Like I've said with previous books, you can read these just as this series alone. But if you do that, you will miss little nuggets like that one. Page 104. You remember what happened a few years back when Daft Willie got spotted by that lady who was painting the pretty pictures doing in the valley? I did not want to have them folklore society big jobs poking around again. This is a nod back to the Wee Free Men, the first book in the Tiffany Aiken series, where Tiffany sees Daft Woolly in one of the pictures in that fantasy fairy tale book. Page 195, and this is about the Beagles. They were helpful, they just weren't good at it. For example, you shouldn't try to remove a stubborn stain from a plate by repeatedly hitting it with your head. The plate will break, so it kind of works. Page 254. Again, this is quite a long one and is a nugget to Carpe Jugulum. Tiffany was speechless. The tide of outrage inside her was so hot that it burned her ears. But Mistress Weatherwax was smiling. The two facts did not work well together. Her first thoughts were, I've just had a blazing row with Mistress Weatherwax. They say that if you cut her with a knife, she wouldn't bleed until she wanted to. They say that when some vampires bit her, they all started to crave tea and sweet biscuits. She can do anything, be anywhere, and I called her an old woman. That is such a beautiful nod to Carpe Jugulum there, which I have a review for, a link is above me now. My last two quotes now, page 274. And I do not snore, she added. After half a minute, she started to snore again. This is another nod to Carpe Jugulum with Granny Weatherwax and the oppressive snoring. And finally, page 333. When I'm old, I shall wear midnight. This is a nod to the final book of Tiffany Aching, which was called I Shall Wear Midnight. And I wondered, did Pratchett already have this in mind when he wrote this? That's it for the quotes. Let me now go into my overview of this book. I found the only downfall of A Hatful of Sky was sometimes the plot was slightly lacking, as in some parts that needed more detail were too short, and other parts that really didn't need that much detail were too long for me personally. So it didn't grab me as much as The Wee Free Men. However, I still loved all the little nuggets and nods to other Pratchett books throughout, and it is still a fantastic read. It's funny, it is short, it is quite fast-paced, and you get to go back to some of your favourite characters. So overall, for enjoyment, I would give it a 9 out of 10. Writing style, 10. Plot, 8. World building, 10. Characterization, 10. Representation, 10. Originality, 10. Ultimately, I gave this 4.5 stars out of 5 stars. I did love it. It just didn't quite hit the 5 stars for me. And that's it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Tumblr. I post bookish pictures as well as my writing tips and unboxings on there. The next book for Discworld, I believe, is going postal, so we're returning to the more adult Discworld books. I don't actually have that many more books in the Discworld series, guys. This actually frightens me a bit. And thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!